Hey guys, it's Chris. From stones said to give you wisdom to rings that can change history. Join me as I reveal 8 artifacts said to have supernatural powers. Number 8. The Cintamani Stone. The Cintamani Stone is an object that's referenced both in Hindu and Buddhist traditions. Many consider it their equivalent to the Philosopher's Stone in the sense that it gives untold power to the person who currently owns it. But what exactly those powers are depend on the interpreter. Some say that the stone contains all the wisdom of the universe, thus possessing it will give you all the knowledge there is. Others interpret it as a blessing in terms of having a very prosperous life. The meaning is probably up to you. As for its origins, the Buddhists believe that the stone was actually one brought to our earth by a group of divine beings called the Bodhisattvas. They also claim that they have retaken the stone for the time being. Meanwhile, the Hindu faith states that the Cintamani Stone was used by the gods Vishnu and Gaishna, as well as being owned by the Naga king at one point in time. Just as interesting, the Tibetan flag actually has the Cintamani Stone on it to show how symbolic it is and what they feel it can bring to their people. The stone has been a source of much joy and grief, to the extent that many wars were said to have been fought over trying to get it and its powers. While no one knows where the stone is now, many have theories, and should it turn up again, it could lead to some interesting investigations. Number 7. Buddha's Tooth. There are many times in history where an item that's said to have belonged to a key historical figure is blessed with great power. One such item in the minds of many is a tooth said to have belonged to Buddha. The Buddha was obviously the creator of the Buddhist religion, and when he died, the only thing that remained after his cremation was his left canine. As it was the only part left of him in the physical world, many people fought over the right to claim the tooth for their own devices. As of now, the tooth is safe and secure in the Temple of the Tooth in Sri Lanka, but the journey to get there was anything but straight, including the tooth being hidden in the hair of a princess on the way to the temple in the 5th century, and the archbishop actually seizing the tooth and burning it because it wasn't the tooth of his god. Thankfully for the Buddhists, the tooth he burned was just a decoy. In regard to powers, many believe that the tooth actually has healing capabilities, but not by touch, but rather by being in the presence of the tooth, it's said to heal people. This comes from patrons who went to the Temple of the Tooth and then felt much better after leaving it, though many who run the temple don't believe this to be real. Number 6. The Seal of Solomon. In the Christian Bible, Solomon was said to have been given one wish by God, and in response, Solomon asked for wisdom, and he wrote many books of the Bible, including Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon. They all detailed the wisdom that he had and the feelings he had because of that wisdom. However, that wasn't the only power he was said to have had. Through his wisdom, he was said to have had a ring, one that may have been given to him by God along with his wisdom. It was also known as a seal, and it bestowed upon him even more power. This was the Ring or Seal of Solomon. According to the lore, the Seal of Solomon gave him the power to cast out demons, talk with animals, and a few other things. Curiously though, the ring is not associated with the Bible, but rather from texts that derived from Arabian writers long after Solomon had died. Thus, there is much debate about whether this item was created in terms of timeline. As for where it is now, most agree that it was buried with Solomon. The problem is, we don't actually know where he's buried, so we won't actually know if it's true until he's found. Number 5. The Miraculous Metal of Our Lady of Grace. The Virgin Mary, said to be the mother of Jesus Christ, is a very important figure in many religions. But in the 1800s, a woman named Saint Catherine Labouré in France was said to have been contacted by the spirit of the Virgin Mary and told to make medals in her honor to give to the people in order to bless them. All who wear them will receive great graces. A few years after the visions, as St. Catherine had been proven to not be insane for having these visions, the coins were indeed made and distributed among the people of France in 1832. And almost immediately, the blessings came to those who wore the medal. The more this happened, the more the people of France wanted a medal for themselves. Eventually, the miraculous medal became a name known around the world, to the extent that people in faraway countries from France still wear the medal to this day and preach the blessings the medallion gives them. Number 4. The Ring of Gyges. The philosopher Plato told many tales that have become legend, and one of these tales was that of the Ring of Gyges. In this particular story, Plato tells that the ring was found by a shepherd, one named Gyges. He was tending to his flock when an earthquake suddenly arose. After it stopped, he found the ring in a cave that had opened due to the event. The ring was on a corpse, but one that the story says was not of a human figure. Gyges took the ring and put it on, and soon realized that he could turn invisible by wearing it in a certain way. However, instead of using this for good purposes, Gyges took the selfish route, and instead went to the palace of his kingdom and seduced the wife of the king. Once done, he then killed the king and took the throne for himself. Now, it is debated whether the ring was real or not, because Plato has told stories that symbolize man and their evil desires. However, other stories around the time that Plato put out this story have a similar set of details to the Ring of Gyges, leading many to feel that this is a very real ring. Though, maybe the invisibility part of the ring is just fiction. Number 3. The Fairy Flag of Dunvegan. In Scotland, there's a clan known as the MacLeods, and they have a flag or blanket that's said to have been magical at one point in time. According to their family legend, an ancestor met and fell in love with a fairy princess. The princess was forbidden to marry a mortal, but her father relented and let them have a year together. This in turn birthed a child. The fairy princess asked that the father ensure the baby never cry because she would hear it no matter where she was. But the baby did cry, so the mother returned to offer him comfort in the form of a blanket. The blanket became the flag of Clan MacLeod, and it was said to have magic that granted them protection in times of need, but only 3 times. In 1490 and 1520, the MacLeods used the flag in a battle with a rival clan, and they won as a result. Then in World War II, the members of the clan who were in the Great War carried a picture of the flag just in case, and that flag itself was said to be held in reserve in case the Axis powers invaded their home. Number 2. The Spear of Destiny. One of the key parts of the crucifixion as noted in the Bible was Jesus being pierced in the side by a Roman spear. This spear would later be known to the world as the Spear of Destiny. In truth, the spear does or did most likely exist. It was mentioned in the Bible, and the crucifixion has been documented by many. Not to mention that the Spear of Destiny has been shown and preserved all over the world, or at least they say it's the real Spear of Destiny. There have been fakes over the years. As for the mythological powers of the spear, it's said that whoever wields it can take over and control the world. To that end, many have sought the spear, including one Adolf Hitler, who famously dabbled in the occult. After he got the spear, he began his takeover of Europe. Then, when General George Patton took it from him in the Battle of Nuremberg, he soon lost the war. The reason for the spear's divine powers come from that of Christ, for the spear was imbued with the blood of Christ via the crucifixion. In modern culture, the Spear of Destiny has been used in many TV shows and movies, stating its various powers from simple power giving to even being able to change the history of the world, as it contains the powers of God. Number 1. Ark of the Covenant. Arguably one of the most famous artifacts of all time, the Ark of the Covenant is said to be a thing of great power, but not from the people who've seen it, but rather from the Bible that describes it in great detail. The Ark is believed to contain the tablets with the 10 Commandments, and the tablets of the Covenant is another name for the 10 Commandments that Moses brought down from Mount Sinai in the book of Exodus. What's important to note here is that this relic was one of the most important things in Jewish culture at the time. The Ark of the Covenant is said to have been moved around during these times of battle as a symbol of God being with the people. Yet they were always careful about where they placed it, who saw it, and more. It was stated that God himself was within the Ark, and that those who weren't worthy of touching it would suffer, such as in the Bible when the Ark was slipping from its apparatus that Jews used to move it. A man reached out and touched the Ark to put it back in place, and he died on the spot. Uzzah reached out and took hold of the Ark of God because the oxen had stumbled, and the anger of the Lord burned against Uzzah, and God struck him down on the spot for his irreverence, and he died there beside the Ark of God. That's 2 Samuel chapter 6, verses 6 through 7. This is but one power the Ark of the Covenant was said to have had, and now that it's missing from the world, though some people are speculating that someone has it and just isn't telling anyone for various reasons, many people have grown even more bold in saying the powers that it has, which is why it's become a popular item to talk about in pop culture. Like in one of my favorite movies, for example, Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, when the Ark, upon being viewed, actually melted the faces of people who unlocked its true power. Thanks for watching. What did you think of these artifacts that may or may not have supernatural powers? Which ones do you think have the best powers? And do you know of any other artifacts that could have made our list? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe to World List, and I'll see you next time.